I would hope I'm not the only AP teacher who has taken time to remind you. But here is the packet right here. There's a checklist right here. Okay, so I believe everyone, I know Leah had some problems with AP Classroom, but everyone else I know has signed up for my AP Classroom. Okay, hopefully you've decided which AP exams you're going to take. Okay, as of right now, there has been no, like, the only thing that has changed in terms of exams, I think there's like the art exam where your like 3D portfolios due a month later. Everything else is the same as of right now. It could change like it did last year, okay? But right now it's your traditional exam, okay? Determine how much your exams will cost. You know, $95 is the base rate, okay? If you're taking a STEM AP exams, I think chemistry, math, whatever, science, whatever, there's a discount there. It might even be free. It changes every year, so look in that checklist. If you're on free reduced lunch, there's a discounted rate. If you're paying online, submit virtual payment. I'll show you the link for that in just a second. There is a slight convenience charge for doing it online. Complete the order form. That was a Google form you had to fill out that says, hey, I'm selecting this. Okay? And then if you are paying in person, that means you plan to pay today before 3:30. Okay? If you do not plan to pay today before 3:30, that means you need to pay sometime today online. Okay? What I would suggest right now is get out your phone and set an alarm, because y'all know with the election and whatever going on, you might easily forget. And let's say you know you're going to take this exam, or you're going to know you're going to take AP Chem, but you forget like to sign up. You're paying $40 extra now to take it, to sign up late. Okay, so if you need to get on your phone right now, you have permission. Okay, paying online is today. Like that, like there have been things sent out. Okay, today is the deadline to pay. Paying online today. Okay, and all these steps no later than today. Okay, if you aren't sure and you can afford the $40, I would suggest waiting. And just remember, you know, while you might be paying $95 or $140, $150, whatever, it's, if you pass it and get college credit, you're saving thousands. Okay, like I know for me, that way back in the day, I saved $4 grand just for getting US history credit. Okay, but I think what's even more important is not the money, it's the time. For instance, in order to be a full-time student in college, you have to have 12 hours. That means about 4 classes, meaning you're in class 3 hours a week per class, 12 hours. Okay? That also means you're, is that right? Does that make sense? 12 hours, that means 4 classes, 3 hours a week. Okay? And then you also have readings to do. Okay? Like I had to read my history classes like 200 pages a night for one class. Okay? If you can get college credit for something, you could do 12 hours instead of 15 hours. Most students do 15 hours. That's 5 classes, 3 times 3 hours a week, 15 hours. Okay? If you can do 12 hours, but like you have your invisible credits from earning AP credits, it's like you were doing 15 hours. And you'll have a lot more free time that way. And that's a lot with less stress. Do you have a question, Grayson? Yeah, if I'm paying in person, where do I drop off the money? Patricia Blount, what I would do is email her. It's like Patricia dot and then VLOUNT, and say, hey, I have I'm an AP student. I have my money to pay today. Can you let me know when you're available? Okay, is that your question too, Beth?
No, mine was, where's the format? Well, like the format.
Yeah, like form, Google form.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Okay, let's see. First of all, let me show you this. If you plan on paying online, see where it says school pay right here? Okay, so it's not this page. Oh, scroll down. Just so you know, that is where you pay virtually right there. Okay? I can't read that far, but does it show the form right here? Order form?
If you're paying in person, you still don't have to.
Mm-hmm. If you're paying in person, you still need to fill out the order form, just to be safe. So everything you know is in that little checklist that I posted a while ago. But that is, like I said, if you aren't sure and you want to play it by ear, that's fine. You just will have to pay $40 more, and you'll have until March to decide. Okay. I am not sure, Izana, about the time, but I would assume it would be anytime November 4th. Okay. I will say this too: if there is a financial problem, let's say that, I don't know, parents get paid the middle of the month to the end of the month, whatever. Email Patricia Blount, okay? Email her and say, look, I want to pay. Is there anything I can do, like a down payment on something? Okay. The thing is, if there's no documentation, you didn't try, then whatever. But you need to email her like now. Don't email her anytime after noon, basically, because she's going to be busy collecting money. Okay. She's going to be really upset if you're going to be like, oh, I sent you an email. Yeah, you sent me an email the day it was due. Okay. So you need to make sure you take advantage of that. Okay. Great question, Sydney. So in the past, like last year, you had to slide over yes or no, right? If you were going to take an AP classroom, if you're going to take the AP exam. Y'all remember that? I know it's been a while. This year, I believe what is happening is you just have to do the checklist. Okay. Then starting tomorrow, Mr. Johnson will go in and check. Okay, Google form, check, paid, check, and then we'll go to yes. And let's just say that Ian did not pay, but he filled out the form or whatever. He didn't do all the checklist. What that means is that Mr. Johnson will probably contact him, but he will change it to no as of right now. Does that make sense? Because after everything was due today, if he had something missing, he's going to change it to no and then get with you. So you do not have to change anything. I don't even think I can change it like I used to in the past. I think he has the authority to change it. Yeah. Does that answer your question, Sydney? Okay, awesome. All right, so let's go and go over some LEQ stuff. I know it's been a while. Yes, Jakia. Is there one up there? There might be. Oh, it's on my stool. All right, so first, the majority will be focused on LEQ stuff, okay? Just know, you have 50 minutes tomorrow to type your LEQ. Remember, there will be a timestamp, so, I can see when the last edits were made and all that kind of stuff, okay? So type it, 50 minutes, okay? If you are here tomorrow and you turn it in within the parameters, your prompt will focus on chapters 12 through 16. Chapter 12 is like antebellum slavery. 13 was like manifest destiny, Mexican-American War. 14, causes of Civil War. 15, Civil War. 16, Reconstruction. Okay, so I feel like it's very relevant, it's fresh, okay? First and second blocks will be different, I promise, okay? Okay, let's see. I'll let y'all decide because I forgot to ask. Second block, do y'all want the even or the odd prompt? Even, okay. Okay, all right. Even prompt. No, it's good, it's good. I think they're both very fair. Not tricky with the wording or anything, okay? So y'all have the even prompt tomorrow. I promise you, if you ask someone first block, it's just going to set you up for failure. because it's different, okay? Another question, when it comes to using your notes, okay, as of right now, there is nothing changing about the format of the AP exam. So here's what I would say. If you, of course, no internet, like you should not Google stuff, okay? If you are going I'm going to use my notes route, okay, I expect 5 pieces of evidence because you get to use your notes, okay? However, if you choose I'm not going to use my notes route, you only have to do 3 pieces of evidence. But again, this is new. This is information that you should be able to come up with some things, at least 3 things, okay? It should be pretty easy to do that, honestly. So you just need to, I'll say, hey, who's going to use their notes, who's not, okay? And again, you just have to give me more evidence if you're choosing to use your notes. I would encourage you not to use your notes. But then if you need to, let me know, and then I'll go, okay, you have to up your evidence. Does that make sense? Any questions there? Oh, I need to share this. So what is required? Remember, you will have your traditional exam, okay, is there, can you move a little bit closer to the thing, the blue, just a little bit, Rachel? Awesome. So just remember, what is required? The stuff in this like big font right here, okay, these are the things on the College Board rubric, okay? The stuff right here are like the extra 40 points to make it 100, okay? So remember, contextualization, you're setting the stage. What do I usually refer to it as? I usually don't say context. What do I say? Well, here's the hint. Where should you put it? Where is it recommended? Before. So I usually say pre-context, okay? And remember, it's like Las Vegas. What's my rule for pre-context and post-context? What happens in pre-context stays in pre-context. You can't use it anywhere else, okay? Then you have your thesis, which is, in other words, what's a thesis? Your what? Yeah, your main argument, okay? Your main argument. Good, Izana. Okay, your main argument. If you have an argument and you answer all parts of the prompt, bam, you got a thesis. Okay, so if you AP exam, May 8th or whatever it is, you write a thesis where you have an argument and you answer all parts of the prompt, and then for some reason you fall asleep, you've earned 1 out of 6 points. So really shoot for a good thesis, okay? Relevant evidence from your Google Forms thing yesterday. What is relevant evidence? Evidence is what? Yes, but think about evidence. What's another word for evidence? Proof. Facts. Okay, so let's pretend that we're doing an LEQ about causes of the American Revolution. Okay, so like no taxation, representation, Stamp Act, all that kind of stuff. Okay? If you start talking about Republican motherhood, is that relevant to causes of the American Revolution? No. But Sons of Liberty would be relevant to causes of the American Revolution. Okay? And remember, how many proofs you have to give me? 3. If you're choosing to use your notebook, 5. Okay? But do you see, think about, let's just pretend, chapter 15 could be like your Civil War. Why did the Union win the Civil War? Think about that. Okay? So you could talk about industry. Okay? You can talk about more industry and give me a fact and like the ratios. What have you talked about? Like the economic things with the Southern blockades and the Anaconda Plan. You see, y'all know those facts. You give me 3 in the entire essay, and you're good. Check. Okay? That is just included. Did I even say defining them yet? No, if you just say here are pieces of evidence, check, you get a point. Now, defining the evidence and actually using it to support your argument. So explaining how a Southern blockade would lead to a Union victory. Now you've used your evidence to support your thesis. Okay? Now remember, when we talk about using evidence, I made up that little mnemonic device Okay? So you first just identify the evidence. One piece of evidence, blah, 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 would be the anaconda plan. Okay? I just identified it. Next, what do I do? What's the D? What should I do with the evidence? Define it. Okay? So don't just say anaconda plan. Now you would say the anaconda plan was devised by, Union General Winfield Scott that led to, blockading and splitting the Confederacy, right? Okay? That's all you have to do there. And then E, this is where a lot of people forget. You would explain how the evidence, and then think about the prompt. Explain how evidence leads to a Union victory. You've done that. You've gotten credit here, and you've gotten credit here. You have to do 2 more pieces of evidence, and you've got a point here and a point here total. Does that make sense? So just remember, I don't need you to give me all this evidence. I just need you to give me 3 good pieces of evidence where you've identified it, you've explained it, like you defined it, and then you explained how it supports whatever the prompt is. Just give me 3 if you're not using your notes. Okay? Then, historical thinking skill. Okay? Let's see, Grayson. Give me one. Oh, that's a bad marker. Give me one of the historical thinking skill prompts. Remember, there's 3 types of prompts. And if you forget, for me, think about AP Euro. There's like this type of prompt.
Are you talking about like responses of types of responses?
Yes.
Right. Like argumentative is one of them, isn't it?
Okay. Well, think more like SAQ. Think about. Okay, I'll give you one example. Causation, cause and effect. So give me another one. Let's see. Is anyone knowing this in class? Comparison. Okay, now online. Oh, there we go. Jonathan got the 3rd one. Causation, comparison, continuity, and change over time. Okay, so basically what it is that if you're remember that explain part. So if it's a causation prompt, it's going to be like, tell me about the causes of this war, or tell me about the effects from this war. Like slavery is abolished would be an effect of the Civil War, right? Okay. So what you would do is you would identify the fact, you would define the fact, and then you would explain how that fact resulted in something or was a result from something. Does that make sense? Now, comparison, think of Venn diagram. Tell me about things that were in common. Tell me about things that were not in common. Okay, when I think about the different regions in colonial America, think about the economies and the religion, you know what I'm talking about? Okay. And then continuity and change over time. You're going to basically, it's kind of like the Venn diagram, but it's like what changed and what stayed the same. So even though we aren't finished with Reconstruction, in terms of African American social changes, were there more changes for African Americans during Reconstruction, or there were more continuities during Reconstruction for African Americans? I think this is a good one to think about. Because remember, slavery is abolished, right? But you still have things like sharecropping. You'll have the 14th Amendment, which makes African American citizens, right? But you still have what? Discrimination. What are those laws called that, like, you couldn't own a gun, you had a curfew? You're getting there. Black codes. Okay? And then we'll talk about the 15th Amendment later today, where all men can vote, including African Americans. Now, we don't know this part yet, but bet y'all know it from civics or something. What did a lot of Southerners do to deny African American suffrage? Literacy tests, poll taxes. They even had a grandfather clause. If your grandfather could vote in 1860, you could vote. I think it's pretty desperate, right? Okay. You also eventually will talk about the KKK. So you see, and some people are like, no, definitely African Americans, there were a lot more changes. Some people would argue, no, more continuities. Does that make sense? So you can say like in politics or like in jobs, there's that as well. Okay, and then the unicorn. That's your extended argument. Okay, I will tell you this now. I graded about 500 AP exams in June, okay, I was able to award 2 unicorn points out of 500. Okay, and that was the norm. Less than 10%. Usually like less than 5% got the unicorn. It means like in baseball, it's like your grand slam. Okay, when it comes to the AP exam, you basically have to earn all of your points to be eligible for the unicorn point. Does that make sense? Okay, I'm going to tell you this for me. If you can earn, remember I have 10 points on my rubric. If you can earn 7 points, then you'd be eligible for the unicorn for me. Does that make sense? So if you feel like you've earned at least a 70, by all means, go for a unicorn point. If you feel like you're close to a 70 but you aren't there yet, polish your other stuff and don't worry about the unicorn. Okay? And when we talk about unicorns, that could be, let's say you did an awesome pre-context. Well, do a post-context or vice versa. Let's say another example would be a synthesis. So let's say the LEQ is about the Patriot Act after 9/11 and like civil liberty is not being protected. Well, you throw in a nice paragraph about Lincoln suspending what? Habeas corpus. There you go. Okay? So the unicorn, just note, the rule is if you make at least a 70, you are eligible for the unicorn. Okay? Got it? Now, here, these are my little nitpicky things. Grammar. Of course, this is the timed essay. Y'all know me. I'm so busy teaching and typing. I mess up all the time, right? Okay? The thing is that I am not going to nick you if you mess up a little bit. If it's really distracting, okay. But if it's a couple grammar things or, you know, a little it's all good. Okay? Here's the thing, though, that I noticed from the last LEQ, since y'all are typing your LEQs. You need to make sure before you submit that you check for capitalization. Okay? Unfortunately, there's something called bias. Okay? When people see a student response and there's nothing capitalized, they're like, well, this is going to be a bad essay because they don't even know the importance of people's names. Okay? So please take your time to capitalize. Now, let's say you forget a couple of them. That's okay. Again, it's a timed essay. But let's say it's George Washington, and through your entire LEQ about George Washington, you never capitalized George Washington. That's a problem. So just make sure you check, okay? Topic sentences, whatever your entire bucket's about for your paragraph, that's what it needs to be about. Accurate info. I would rather you, let's say that you forgot about the Wilmot Proviso. What did the Wilmot Proviso do? Let's see. In-class people or online people? Yeah, Mexican-American War. Senator David Wilmot proposed that the war be free from slavery. The land from the war be free from slavery. Okay? Let's pretend that you forgot it was called the Wilmot Proviso. Okay? Instead of you like making something up and it being wrong, I'd rather you say, during the Mexican-American War, there was a congressman who proposed that this land be free from slavery and it wasn't passed. Do you see how you would still get some credit? Because you weren't wrong. You were just a little vague, but you weren't wrong. Okay? All right. Organization. Here's one thing I noticed. Some of y'all just did one big paragraph, one big main body paragraph. Rule is 2. I need 2 main body paragraphs or 2 buckets. Okay? So just remember, here's the setup. Causation, this led to this. Changes and continuities, were there more changes or more things that stayed the same? And then were there more similarities between usually different regions or periods in U.S. history? Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to do a breakout room. Okay, just for a little bit. Okay, for time's sake, we are not going to have time to grade all these samples. So what I will do is I will post samples B and C, okay? But we are going to do a breakout room. Okay, and what this is for sample A, it's a Google form. And instead of multiple choice, where you can only choose one answer, it's a checkbox. And the checkbox, think, is the rubric. And you're just going to check, okay? If you see it there, give them the point. If you don't see it there, don't give them the point. Okay, let me see. Let me set this up really quick. But y'all go ahead and be ready. If y'all need, anyone need headphones? Good? Okay. Yeah, don't worry about that. Did you pay for it yet?
I don't.
Okay, so what we'll do is, you will pay for all of them except that, and so tomorrow, Mr. Johnson will be going in, he's like, oh, Grayson paid for these, but not this, so that means I'm gonna change that to him then.
Okay, so.
Right. Yep. Correct.
Listen,
Mm-hmm.
so is the historical thinking skill, is that like a paragraph by itself?
No. If you do, for each of those evidences, you do your identify, define, and you explain how it led to, or explain how it's stay the same, you're good. If you follow that idea thing, you get it. Yep. Okay. Let's see. So I'm starting the breakout room. Okay, I'm starting it now. And so make sure you've logged in to your breakout rooms, and then I will post this Google form. And you're just going to do sample A, because I want to make sure we get to some content today too. I can hear y'all logging into your thing, so that's good. I do have to think I can do this thing. I'm titling it sample A. And I just posted it, and let me check, make sure the breakout rooms are working. Okay, guys, so I'm going to mute myself in the main Google Meet, but I will be able to guys. I've been answering your questions, but I was on mute. Okay, let me, so Emily, it'll be quiz category. Denny, you will not be penalized. I'd rather you be a conservative grader who's very particular than a liberal grader, so don't worry about that. Malachi, yes, if let's say tomorrow you think you've earned at least a 70, and you have a great pre-contest, then do a good post-contest, that would work. Vice versa, if you have a good post-contest, do a good pre-contest, okay? Okay, and then Denny, I'll check your email in a bit. Okay, so let me go through this very quickly. Yes, Beth.
So is the, can we know like ahead of time? Like
It's 12 through 13. 12 through 16.
anything to do that?
No, but that has a lot to do with slavery, manifest destiny, called the Civil War, Reconstruction. Trust me, I'm not, this one will be very straightforward in terms of what the prompt is asking you to do. I think it's very, very fair. I'm not trying to trick you. Just know that, okay? So, again, just very quickly for those of you, first minute, what do you do to the prompt? You need to make sure you understand it. What skill? What topic? What are the dates? Then take 2 minutes and list anything. Don't organize it, just list anything. So again, if it was about reasons for the Continental Army to win the American Revolution, I would say guerrilla warfare, French alliance, good leaders, Washington, von Steuben. Okay, and I would do as much as I can in 2 minutes. Then I would look and see if I have anything connected. And I'd be like, oh yeah, one bucket could be foreign diplomacy reasons. And the other one could be like military reasons. Okay? Then you need to use, and I'll tell you this, you need to have at least 2 buckets. If you only have 1 paragraph, that's not going to be a good score. You need to have at least 2 buckets, 2 paragraphs. Okay? Now, when you have a thesis, the thing is, Jonathan, it's going to be hard to do that because the evidence would need to support your thesis. So I would say no, Jonathan. Come up with a thesis. So this is like your basic thing where it's like, to what extent there are significantly more continuities, or this played a major role, whatever. Okay. Then these are your buckets, like your talking points. So like the Continental Army had some key reasons for a victory in the American Revolution. The 2 most significant reasons for an American victory would be political diplomacy, such as with France, and expert leaders such as Washington and von Steuben. That's a thesis. Okay. Did I go in and tell you who von Steuben was in the thesis paragraph? No, that's for the main body paragraphs. Okay, so here's what I want you to do. This is individual right now. Okay? I want you to take a minute and look at this LEQ prompt. Evaluate the extent. Remember, whenever I say evaluate the extent, whenever you hear the word extent, how much? So how much of things stay the same as a result of the market revolution's impact on women? So the market revolution, impact on women. Were there more changes? Or there more similarities, kind of thing? But it's telling you just to tell me about what stayed the same. So were there a lot of continuities as a result of the market revolution on women? Or were there hardly any continuities and more changes of the market revolution on women? Overall, think in your mind, just take a minute, just think, make sure you understand the prompt. Okay, now what I want you to do is, what I want you to do is one person in your group get a Google Doc, and whoever does it first, you'll see, okay? But in your group, okay, if you are in a group, open up a Google Doc, just a blank Google Doc, and share it with your members. And I want you to take, let's say 3 minutes. So by the time you start a doc and you share it and stuff, 3 minutes, and just create a word bank. Again, we're not writing sentences in our word bank. We're just doing facts. What are things? And here's the deal. Let's say main body paragraph, you get a couple and you're struggling. Do a word bank for pre-context or post-context or unicorn if you have extra time. But let's take 3 minutes now. And again, if you don't have a group, just do it by yourself. Nothing. That's perfectly fine. No, not right now. You're just typing stuff. You don't have to do that yet. What? Google Drive?
One thing I do know. I can see it.
Okay, you have about a minute left to see what y'all could do. Anything that would fit this. Early 1800s. Think of it like that. Marker evolution is like your, you know, that's your crow. That's weird.
Okay, we're going to start putting down ranches. Mine is really slow, so I like
You're fine.
That's mine. What's the other word we used to call that?
Called domesticity?
That? Either one.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
I don't know what you're learning. I'll be right back.
It's like the low text on the
Yeah, just remember you don't have to give a lot, but this just forces you to like create a word bank in case you forget about it later. All right, so you just created a word bank. That's what you were doing, creating a word bank. Okay, so tell me some things you put in your word bank. Lowell Mill Girls, great. That's a new job opportunity for women. Okay, yes, Jakia.
Okay, this one has to be. But I said Republican motherhood.
Okay, so Republican motherhood, I think would be a great pre-context because that will be a new role for women, like as a result of the American Revolution, which is right before. So I give that pre-context. Okay. Anyone else? I heard Lowell Mills and Republican Motherhood, and Republican Motherhood would be good pre-context. Yes. Cult of Domesticity. Separate spheres, basically the same thing. Yes, yeah, I say spheres wrong weird sometimes. Okay. Okay, Second Great Awakening. Okay, yeah, because the marker, yeah, I think that's a great one, Demi, and good, Izana, Cult of Domesticity. Great. Okay, so it gave you something to work with. Okay, so just remember, first minute, understand the prompt. Then the next 2 minutes, create a word bank. Then it's like, okay, what can I do, like buckets, and then you fill in buckets, and then you should have a thesis right in front of you, basically. Basically the whichever bucket's more full is what your thesis would be. You know what I'm saying? Okay. So what I'm going to do for time's sake, because we still have like 6 minutes of lecture I got to sneak in. Okay. I have created buckets for you already. Okay. We got 2 buckets, 2 paragraphs. This one, something that said the same, women in the South. Okay? And then here, women and inequality, something that still stayed the same. New jobs, but no suffrage. Paid less with their jobs, and Seneca Falls Convention, which they still didn't get suffrage immediately. Does that make sense? So I've done the buckets. I filled in the buckets. I already told you, these are your 2 paragraphs. Okay? So now what you're going to do, I'm going to post something, okay? You probably want to get in your breakout rooms for this, but if you don't have to, you don't have to. But I have created a Google Doc that is like a fill in the blank LEQ. What that means is that I have an LEQ that is based off of this, already written, for the most part. There are some aspects of the LEQ that are not written. And what I did was I created a text box that said insert pre-context here, insert topic sentence here. So what does that mean for insert topic sentence? You got to read the paragraph to see what it's about. And you're like, oh, let me insert the topic sentence now. Does that make sense? You do have to get a little creative. Maybe Cami will work. But y'all, I don't care the format of how you do it. I am going to grade that tomorrow. Okay, so I will give you some time now. Is it like 11:33? Okay. So I will give you some time to do this. I got to post it first. Okay, I'm like 30 seconds away from posting it. I know what that is for. Okay, so you'll see I'm sharing this with you now. It's a Google Doc, and it's an LEQ that's almost fully written, but there are some things you need to insert. And so you basically, what you'll need to do is you'll need to look at this, look at my buckets, and complete this LEQ. Okay? So I will have
I did. I know. I wish you